Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about Elon mentioning that the Supercharger Network is going to be open to other EVs later this year, so if you're interested, stay tuned. First off, I want to mention that I'm going to focus this video on North America because we have our own plug here, whereas in Europe they all use CCS, so it's going to be a bit different. And I want to go back in time just a little bit so everyone understands how this proprietary plug, came to be. So back when the Model S was in pre-production kind of before 2012, there was no standard in North America, and that's how Tesla came up with their own plug because CCS wasn't really a thing yet. And also back then, there weren't really any EVs that could go over 100 miles. So I've mentioned this in videos before where basically before Tesla came along, I really thought of EVs as a joke because 100 miles is, from here I could barely get to SF and back and might not even be able to get that far. So it just didn't even make sense to have fast chargers back then because, there was no mileage, no range on these older EVs back then. So that's part of the reason why there was no standard back then. So when the Model S came around that actually did have a long range, Tesla came up with this plug that basically could do fast charging and trickle charging in one. So as you've seen on social media, Elon mentioning that the Supercharger network is going to be opening up to other EVs is a hotly debated topic, so I'm going to give you my opinion on this news. We know Tesla's mission statement is to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy, so Elon mentioning something like this makes perfect sense. As you've probably seen, we know that Elon doesn't really care about competition, because if he did, then he wouldn't make Tesla's patents open for anyone to see. Elon opening up the Supercharger network to all other EVs will also give more exposure to the Tesla brand. Since we know that Tesla's Supercharger network is the most robust out of all the networks right now, letting other EV owners use it is still good business for Tesla, and it might possibly convert other EV owners to Tesla owners in the future. I'm going to guess that for other EV owners to use the Supercharger network, they're going to be charged more than the normal Tesla owners because they need to pay their fair share of the maintenance costs and other costs associated with, running the superchargers. One big argument that everyone talks about is that the Supercharger network is always really busy, and that's just with Tesla owners using the network. To try and alleviate this pressure, Elon did mention just a little while ago that the Supercharger network is doing a massive increase which is underway. And he's not lying. I actually checked one of the Supercharger network sites, and I did notice that there was kind of an increase in supercharger stations being built. I think a lot of the arguments with lots of traffic at these supercharger stations comes from us people on the West Coast here where Tesla is way more prevalent, and especially down in LA and kind of on the Grapevine, you'll see this, a lot of traffic with the supercharger stations, especially if it's like a holiday, Sunday night or something like that. So to combat this, there are a ton of supercharger stations up and down the I-5 corridor. There's Fireball with 56, Kettleman City with 40, and Coalinga, aka Harris Ranch. There's like 10 right now, but they have a permit for over 80, and so soon there will be over 100 chargers at that station. So travel here in California won't be an issue because there are a ton of stations around. But I think for the rest of the country, supercharger stations in general really aren't as busy as they are on the West Coast because there are just so many of them. So having your occasional Bolt or e-tron charging at a supercharger station, I don't think is going to really make that much difference. And since Elon did say that it's going to be open to all other EVs, that would include plugins. But my personal opinion on plugins are that I don't think any plugins are going to be using the Supercharger network because those types of people who have plugins and they're road tripping are just going to rely on gas because it's faster than charging an EV. And on top of that, those types of EVs don't really have DC fast charging, so it'd pretty much be like doing level 2 charging at the Supercharger network, which is kind of irrelevant. So as it stands right now, the non-Tesla EV market is a really small market, and so I was looking for numbers, and it's kind of hard to find a specific just full EV, like a BEV number, because most of these sites include plugins, but I can't see not full EVs that are not Teslas being like total being more than 1/4's worth of Tesla sales, which is like in the 200,000 car range. And this is considering the data that I did find, and I think the Bolt is probably the most popular EV that's not a Tesla, and they've only sold 88,000 total cars, and then, we include all the other ones like the iPace, the e-tron, all that stuff. Those types of EVs only really sell a couple thousand maybe every quarter, so there's not really that many non-Tesla EVs out there. So I think opening up the Supercharger network to everyone will actually help Tesla expand their Supercharger network. So let's just think of it this way. Basically, if you're a business and you know that any EV can charge at a Tesla Supercharger, then you're going to want to put a Tesla Supercharger at your business, because then you're going to know that Tesla owners can go there, but also other EV owners can go there as well, meaning increased visibility to your business. And because of this, that means that Tesla's going to get more business, which in turn is going to help them expand the Supercharger network even faster. So as I've said before, I can totally imagine a supercharger station on every corner like there is gas stations now. And a supercharger station where every gas station is would also make sense, because then they could just shut down the pumps. You'd still have the supercharger station there, and then those Tesla owners could just go into the convenience store and get some snacks or whatever, just like you would if you were driving a gas car. So it still makes sense for gas station owners to put supercharger stations at their gas station, and that way they won't go out of business, because basically they're just going to switch gas to electricity and people will still come in and get the goodies like I mentioned. So my take on this, even though I live in the Bay Area where there are a ton of Teslas, is go for it. If I'm road tripping somewhere, I don't think it's going to make that much difference if other EV owners are using the Tesla superchargers as well. And if you're a true Tesla supporter, you should also support Tesla's mission. So what's your opinion? Are you for or against other EV owners using the Supercharger network? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And thanks for watching.